What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/am I the Butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it always helps out our channel. I cannot express that enough. And I'm gonna do that really cheesy thing that YouTubers do right now. Did you know? Oh god, I feel like a salesman. Did you know? And I'm just doing this to make you aware. I'm not trying to pressure you. If you don't want them on, don't have them on, you know. But at the same time, did you know? Subscribers, there's only 25% of you who have all your notifications turned on for this channel. And I thought I'd just make you aware of that, just in case you do like to be updated every time, because we post 2 to 3 times a day, every day. So you might be missing out because YouTube might not be letting you know. And with that being said, let's just crack straight on with today's stories. I am sorry, guys. Much love. And our first story does come with an update as well. And before we get into it, I just want to mention, obviously, it does talk about fertility issues, and it also does mention miscarriage. So I just want to give you that heads up if you'd like to use the timestamps to skip this story. Much love, guys. This story is from Lied About Fertility. Am I the arsehole for lying about my wife having fertility issues? My wife is trans, and we met for the first time after she fully medically and surgically transitioned. Nobody besides her family and my sister, who found out on her own, really knows this, and she wants to keep it that way. Anyway, we both wanted to have kids young, so we adopted a little girl before the pandemic started. Because of everything that's been going on, my parents didn't really get to meet her until last week, and my sister and her husband were also there. My parents are very conservative, and they've been a bit disappointed about the fact we adopted. Nothing really explicit, but just subtle things. After they met our daughter though, they melted a little, because how could you not? But they still wanted to know why we adopted. I felt a bit clever saying fertility issues, because we do have fertility issues, just not the kind my parents probably thought. My sister didn't say anything at the time, but she let loose on me later. I forgot that she has fertility issues, and she started yelling at me that she's been spending tens of thousands of dollars in vitro, how depressed it's made her, how her marriage is on the rocks, and how she's traumatized from her miscarriages. I didn't know she had any. She told me that she trusted me with that, and I'm immature. I told her that we technically do have fertility issues, and she said it's different because we chose to have ours and we knew what we were getting into. She said it wasn't our issue to appropriate. All the women I dated in my life were cis, but I didn't fall in love with any of them. I don't think I chose to fall in love with her, so that made me pretty upset. I wouldn't have felt like I was in the wrong until my sister told me that I could have just said that I felt like it would have been better for the world to adopt. I still think it would have been met with a lot of suspicion and criticism from my parents, but that would have been the easiest way to avoid anybody getting hurt. And now I've built this unnecessary rift between my sister and I. My wife says that we do have fertility issues, and she feels bad for my sister because of everything she's going through, but ultimately we have nothing to apologise for because we told the truth. I don't know what to think about all this. Am I the arsehole? So we're going to cover a couple of comments on this one, and then we're going to go straight to the update. But I saw Webby Vanderquack's message below which said, not the arsehole, wouldn't I felt like it'd be better for the world to adopt, also be judging your sister who went through IVF and miscarriages in the hope of having a biological child. You couldn't win here. That said, if you love your sister, find a way to reconcile. She's been through a lot, and she lashed out in a way that was emotional and not rational. Don't waste precious time waiting for her to make the first move, even if she should. And OP did reply to this saying, thank you for responding. I love my sister very much. I was the annoying little brother growing up, if you can tell. Right now, she says she doesn't want to speak to me, but I'm definitely going to be checking up on her a bit better from now on. So many people have been talking about how in vitro affects your hormones, and I definitely understand how she's traumatized from her miscarriages, so I'm really not upset with her, and I just hope we can repair things as soon as possible. I'm a little bit afraid of her saying anything about my wife to our parents though. She was judgmental when she found out about her being trans at first, but she grew into accepting it, and I just hope she doesn't take any steps backwards as far as that goes. I would find it hard to forgive anyone who targets my wife like that. And Wickedest says, not the arsehole, in quotes, she said it's different because we chose to have ours and we knew what we were getting into. And they said that's complete bullshit. Your wife didn't choose to be trans and you didn't choose who you fell in love with. Sorry your sister is struggling, but she's the arsehole for thinking that you're appropriating fertility issues. Just because your fertility issues aren't exactly the same as hers, that doesn't make yours invalid. And now we're going to cover the update. So update, am I the arsehole for lying about my wife having fertility issues? So it's been about 3 months since the incident in the post. Our daughter is still the most precious girl in the world, and my wife was very complimented by a few of the commenters. Even though at the end of the day, I don't think it was wrong to refer to it as fertility issues, I apologised to my sister once she cooled down anyway. She's been going through a lot. Sometimes things aren't about being right as they are about family. Thanks to everyone who told us we had nothing to apologise about though. My sister forgave us and we hugged it out. She even apologised about telling her she was appropriating issues, which honestly offended me the most. But that wasn't the end of it. My wife couldn't get rid of this nagging feeling that maybe something could go wrong again, and my sister or her husband would tell my parents. So she told me she wanted to come out to them. It was a hard decision for us because I love them and I was terrified they would disown me and spread gossip about her. But what can I say? My wife owns me, lol. It's her over everyone else for me. She kept getting scared every time we agreed we were going to say something, and it ended up coming out when my mum was telling my wife how much I cried when I broke my arm. She said the most she ever cried was getting a soccer ball launched into her balls. I love my wife, she had to explain it a bit to them and they're a little uncomfortable, but nothing has really changed. At first they were horrified, but they always really liked her and I guess they couldn't just erase that. Especially after she explained her situation to them. If anything, I'd say she's made them a bit more open-minded, and I actually got my sister and her husband looking into adoption. Everybody wants a daughter like ours. Anyway, thanks for the advice everyone. I hope this update makes everybody's day a little brighter. And you know how it is on this channel, I love a wholesome ending to a story and it sounds like everything's moving in a positive way and that is all we can ask for. It doesn't happen often on Am I the Arsehole, but when it does, it's great. It is absolutely great. I hope you guys did enjoy this story and let's just crack on over to the next one. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for refusing to tutor a family friend's son because they won't pay me enough? I, 20 male, am currently at my second year of university. I study physics and I absolutely love it. Anyways, a couple of months ago, mother asked me if I was willing to tutor her friend's dumb son, who's in high school and struggling with physics. My schedule was full, but eventually I begrudgingly relented. I went there, we do our lesson, 1 hour of pure hell, and then comes the moment to get paid. The mum looks angrily at me and says, here's the amount me and your mother agreed upon, and hands me 10 euros. I'm confused. I clearly remember telling my mum my hourly fee is 25, but take the money nonetheless and walk out. When I get home, I call my mother to ask about it. She says, she's a dear family friend, you should make an exception for her. I roll my eyes but agree she's a family friend, maybe I should give her a discount. So for the next month I tutor the offspring and I get less than half my normal pay. 2 weeks ago, we had to switch to online tutoring because of hardening COVID regulations. I did what I had to do, and before I closed the call, the hag said, by the way, I'll be paying you 5 from now on. Online tutoring isn't like normal tutoring, and he's not getting any better, so why should I pay you? I was taken back. I told her that this wasn't acceptable, and if she wanted to continue our lessons, she would need to pay me normal, reduced fee. She complained, but 10 is too much. I couldn't hold it in. Weeks and weeks of underpaid, mind-numbingly frustrating work bubbled up and I exploded. Listen, 10 is already nowhere near what I normally charge. You already got a discounted price just because my mother went over my head and decided that this was acceptable. As for your offspring not getting any better, I am a student with an average grade of 30 with distinction. In my country, 30 is the max grade at uni. I am a tutor with dozens of clients who can vouch for my professionality, and I have several professors who can vouch for my competence. I am not the problem, your son simply isn't interested in getting better. So, from now on, either you pay me full price or I just drop you. Be grateful I'm not making you pay me back what you owe me. I hung up and stormed out. Mother called me soon after, yelling that I was rude and I shouldn't have made such a scene given that tutoring isn't my job and how bad I made her look in front of her friends. I countered saying that it doesn't matter, it isn't my job, it's about the principle. I'll do something time consuming for you. You pay me, end of story. She didn't listen and kept on berating me and wailing about her ruined social image. I hung up. Over the course of the last week, I received texts and calls telling me I went too far. I should have just taken the money and not been such an asshole. The only people that have been on my side are my dad and my girlfriend, who tell me I've done nothing wrong. But I no longer know if that's true. So I come to you, people of Reddit. Am I the arsehole? I kinda wanna say arsehole just because, you know, he undervalued his skills and accepted the $10, but, you know, he was kind of pressured into it at the same time. I wanted to go down that route. I'm not going to though. You're not the arsehole in this situation. And I do have to question some of the language in the story. I mean, if I scroll up and I look at the very start where it says, "Mother asked me if I was willing to tutor her friend's dumb son." I mean, come on, man. But I do think the main issue here is with your mum and the way she's being overbearing and telling people that you will do this because she wants such a great social standing by the sounds of it. She is absolutely the arsehole in the situation. And obviously the mum turning around and saying, "By the way, I'll only be paying you $5 from now on," isn't great either, you know? But I'm still going to go with a not the arsehole in this situation. I can totally understand, you know, your skills being undervalued and you being frustrated. And I'm going to take that into account for the language used in this post as well. So not the arsehole in this situation for me. But let's see what some of the comments say. A deleted user says, "Wow, your mum secretly negotiated a 60% discount without your knowledge or consent. This lady summarily decided to cut an additional 50%. You are now being offered 20% of what you considered your fair rate. And she blamed you for her child's continued failure. That's downright offensive. Not the arsehole." And Anxious says, "Not the arsehole at all. You are right to stand up for yourself." And Smartass Mouse says, "Not the arsehole. Might want to also tell her she can't decide your prices. I am my own boss as this is my freelance job. Last I checked, you were not on my payroll." And Goddess Eternal says, "Not the arsehole, of course. Why does your mum care so much about what a terrible friend thinks? Also, your mum is a massive arsehole for dropping your price without telling you. You should have backed out after the first session. The way you talk about these people, you clearly hate them. Stop working for people you hate this much. You clearly have plenty of other clients." And Opie replies, "My mum's only concern is her social standing. Have you noticed I addressed her as mother? My brothers and I are not allowed to call her that. She requests her title. She only cares how the old aristocratic mothers see her and her perfect family. I hate them so much." And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Crispy Kinks. Am I the arsehole for getting a student suspended for a hoodie they were wearing? I'm a teacher at a high school. I have a student who's a junior. He doesn't get into any trouble. He's your average high school kid. Last week he came into school wearing a black hoodie with an inappropriate statement. I heart hot mums. I confronted him about the hoodie, asking if any of his teachers said anything about it so far. He said no. Nobody has said anything about it yet. He's in my 4th period class, so it is a little surprising that nobody has said anything about it. I told him he had to take it off, and he said he couldn't because he had no shirt underneath. I called the office so that he could be sent down to the reflection room so he could resolve his issue with his poor decision making to wear that to school. He thinks there's nothing wrong with his hoodie and said that his teacher in 2nd period thought it was funny. After he went down to the reflection room, it was confirmed that he was on in-school suspension for the rest of the day. It was later decided that he will face a 3-day suspension starting Monday, yesterday, and will return on Thursday on the conditions that he will not wear such clothing. His parent emailed me asking why there was a need for the suspension over a hoodie, and that their son was wrongfully suspended, and said that a friend of his wore the same hoodie but had no problem wearing it to school. I replied to the message stating that first and foremost the hoodie contained an inappropriate message, and I don't have his friend in my class so I wouldn't have known his friend had the same hoodie. The parent doesn't want suspension on their kid's record, but suspensions happen for a reason, and they shouldn't have let their kid wear an inappropriate piece of clothing, and they were furious that the suspension stated that they couldn't join class online either. This kid is going to have a chunk of makeup work to do now after he gets back from his suspension. I remember a story it must have been about a year ago now, God, regarding a kid wearing some sort of top and it had like a hip hop logo or something like that on it. I can't remember exactly. We covered this one a year ago, so bear with me, guys. And it was considered inappropriate for school, and they was told that they have to take it off. I don't think they were suspended or anything like that, but they was told they had to take it off. And the parent was saying, why should they have to take it off? It's not inappropriate, blah, blah, blah. And I think I went down along the lines of, because I've got quite a few teacher friends, so this may be like a UK/US thing, and it might be completely different, but how teachers have to be on their guard for pretty much everything these days, and the way other parents sort of judge their decision making too, and what's in their classes at the time. So if a child is wearing, you know, an inappropriate top, and another parent sees it as they're coming out of the school or whatever, they can make a complaint, and it can reflect badly on the teacher if they don't say something. And it's just like one of these ones where they have to be super careful about everything. Not that I'm excusing it at all, I don't think it's right, but that's the way it is sometimes. But I feel in this one, it was just like, it's gone way too far for a child to lose that much of their education and have to catch up because of this top, when it could have been approached with just saying to him, look, please don't wear that top again. It's kind of inappropriate. Please don't wear it again. And that's it. You didn't have to send him away and then for it to snowball out of control like it has done. But Saluki Queen says, you're the arsehole. I'm a teacher here, and basically what I read is that a student with no behavioural issues is now missing out on 3 days worth of class time and learning for a minorly inappropriate hoodie. You could have just told him it was in bad taste and not to wear it again with a follow-up to his mum, but to send him out of class for that? There were no curse words, graphic images, or anything to distract him from learning. You blew this way out of proportion, or at least started the ball rolling for consequences that were way out of proportion. And I love gifs of Jif saying, you're the arsehole. Christ, I feel a 3-day suspension is wildly inappropriate here. I can't believe that your school had no extra shirt to offer him, didn't enlist the help of friends to get a shirt for him, didn't call home to arrange for an alternative shirt choice, didn't request he turn it inside out to continue his classes. It was ribald and not something that is usually conducive to learning. It was not worth 3 days away from his learning environment, especially after he was placed on IS. And Croaky Poem says, I wouldn't be surprised if I get downvoted to oblivion, but you're the arsehole. Hot mums? Really? Is this what publicly funded resources are going towards? I love hot mums is not. I've worn way worse shit to school. Or are you just mad that you aren't a hot mum, so you took your frustrations out on a kid? And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from OK Cap. Am I the arsehole in this situation, or is my wife when it comes to money? I will do my best to explain the situation. Years ago, my wife and I were constantly arguing about money. Actually, she was always questioning me when I purchased things, and I would let her buy whatever she wanted. I suggested that we keep our finances separate and that we each pay the appropriate percentage of the bills based on our income. I.e., say I make $100 and she makes $50 and a bill is $100, I would pay 66.66% and she would pay 33.33%, as I make twice as much as her. She didn't like this idea at all, so then I suggested that we each give each other a weekly allowance and we could spend our allowance on anything we wanted without question. She finally agreed to this. So here's the situation. I will use the exact amounts of money used for this explanation. I purchased a camper for our family using my own allowance for $1,000. Yes, it was old, but I didn't want to spend a lot if camping is something that we ended up not enjoying. Well, we all loved it. I then sold the camper for $2,000, a $1,000 profit. We then purchased another camper for $4,000 and used the $2,000 from the camper I sold plus $2,000 of our joint money. I then later sold the camper for $6,500, a $2,500 profit. I then bought my wife her dream car for $4,000. It was an older Jaguar, and she was furious with me and told me to get rid of it. I sold that car for $6,500, a $2,500 profit. Then the next thing I bought was a boat for $4,500 and eventually sold this for $11,000. A $6,500 profit, so in total the money made by buying and selling items was $12,500. When I buy things, I do a lot of research and search for really great deals to make sure I get a profit when I sell items. This research is through internet research, phone calls, in-person meetings, etc. My wife was not involved in any of the buying or selling, except that I spoke to her each and every time for approval to buy the item, with the exception of the dream car because it was a surprise. At no point did I ever put us in debt or used all the money we had. My theory is starting off small that doesn't cost much and increase the cash value by buying and upselling and eventually buy something bigger and better. Because it started with my own personal money and I did all the work to ensure a profit was made, I feel that the profits made are mine and not hers. So when I sold my boat for $11,000, I kept this money in my own personal bank account so it would be there to buy something else. My wife didn't like this one bit and she withdrew the same amount of money from our joint account and transferred it into her own personal account. I know it sounds petty and that we both may be acting like children, but I strongly feel that I should be able to do what I did. I may very well be wrong. I make twice as much more income as my wife does, but anything I purchase must be approved by her or I'll be in a lot of trouble from her if I buy something without her approval. Am I the arsehole or is it her? Now, I think you are going to be the arsehole in this situation, mainly because you went ahead and took money from the joint account and invested it in something and then sold it for profit later on down the line, and then you took all the profit. So, in effect, you did gamble some money from the joint account. Say if you lost it, what would have happened then? Would you have replaced it? Or would you say, oh no, that was joint money? And OP does mention that the only money they took from the joint account was for the gift of the car to her, but then he did sell it for profit as well, so it doesn't go down well with me anyway. I think you are the arsehole for this situation because you did in effect gamble some money, made a profit and didn't share in those profits. But Family Drama says no, you are the arsehole. Let's put this into business terms, since you clearly like treating the marital finances as a business-like arrangement. If you're an investor in something, you bear the risks and get the rewards. If you co-invest alongside someone else and the thing appreciates, you both get the payout, even if one of you did the most research and due diligence. You used joint money, it sounds like, to buy these items, apart from that first camper for $1,000. If they'd gone down in value, then she'd have lost money along with you. Therefore, you should both benefit from the gain. If you purely use your personal allowance money to buy the assets, then it would make sense for you to keep the gain. Although even that could cause resentment, I imagine. But you didn't buy them with your personal money. Share the gains from the sale. You could certainly make a case for taking a bigger slice to represent the money that came out of your personal allowance, but the gains from any joint investment should be shared jointly. And Lethal is Lethal says, we then purchased another camper for $4,000 and used the $2,000 from the camper I sold plus $2,000 of our joint money, and then says, so you used the joint money for the eventual $12,000 gain. Am I reading this right? And Kato says, everyone sucks in a small way, and quotes, I know it sounds petty and that we may be acting like children, but I strongly feel that I should be able to do what I did. I may very well be wrong. And then says, you are acting like children. You are wrong because some of the profits were made with a $2,000 joint money. We then purchased another camper for $4,000 and used the $2,000 from the camper I sold plus $2,000 of our joint money. Then says again, your wife also sounds petty, and clearly if you're going to apportion profits, you should get more because you did the work and provided half the money from your money. But my parting comment is marriage shouldn't be a forensic accounting exercise. There seems to be some issues to work on with better communication here, and that a sense of perspective can be maintained about non-problems. Absolutely true. Now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation and what would you do in it? Imagine yourself both sides, the husband and the wife. How would you deal with it? Let me know in the comments below. Now once again guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories, and if you did, you know what to do. Hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. You are very, very much appreciated on this channel. Thank you so, so much, and I will see you in the next one. Take care guys. Much love. I got food up in the fridge. Y'all keep looking for that new wave. I think I like it how it is.